Hey, Omar again for the Chicago Cycling Network. And as usual, I just want to highlight some amazing people in Chicago and beyond that really makes this sport just amazing, make it fun, make it welcoming, make it warm, and people that we can use to inspire us to push yourself to the next level. And today we're here with somebody who is one of those person. I think he's the epitome of all of what we would think somebody could be to inspire us to push ourselves. And we have many experiences together. As I say, one of the things that remind me of Tony, which you'll get to know him a little bit later on, is that we have this fun memory of him that whenever we climb the Tower Hill little grade, people know I'm talking about from Chicago, up Sheridan, he always just zoom by us and spinning, and he always says, "Hey, I'm trying to maintain my cadence. I'm trying to maintain my cadence." And so and that was just something that just always just make it so much fun. And just to bike with him and doing all these different adventures and the things that we do. So really appreciate him for taking his time out of his busiest schedule to be here with us today. And again, I want to really thank you guys for all the people who have subscribed so far, because without you guys, we could not grow the channel, and we need your content support. And I'll try to bring you this content. And again, all these guys are here in Chicago and around. You'll see them, and they're always open. Stop, talk to them, have a good time, get to know other people. All right, and Tony's one of them. So Tony, please introduce yourself.
Look, thank you so much, Omar. You're an amazing, dearest friend. Thank you. It's an honor and privilege, and it's beautiful to think of me. It's like I don't look at myself as someone I can inspire others for some reason.
You are, trust me.
That's so kind of you. My name's Tony. I lived in the Chicagoland area for almost 34 years, 33, 34 years. And all the time, even when I lived in the city early on, I all the time rode the North Shore. We used to ride all the way from the city. We used to live by Ohio Street Beach. Warm up, ride up to Plaza, and at Plaza we meet all the friends, and then ride the same route that you and I and many other friends rode before. Obviously, I live now in the suburbs in the north side, and makes it sometimes easier, but sometimes makes it lazier because, it's like right outside my door. Why? Not a big deal. I can just
but where you live is still perfect, because it's like, for the guys who hear, they know it's basically where Elm turned into Everett. He's like right. It's a perfect place to meet him, right? And we can just head north. And the good part about it, you don't worry about any stop light anymore, like all the stop and go and stop and go. So you're
zero.
That's gone.
Yeah.
So
and even like when I come down and meet you from here to like when we go to Plaza, no lights. Like maybe there's one which is on Lake Cook and Green Bay. That's the only light, which is a corner which you go through it. But there's no lights. You're like straight down, straight back up.
Yeah, so I think I need to move up to this side of town, because I am sometimes it's just like I'm trying to hold my average pace, and then light my pace drop. I'm like, come on, I was holding a good pace, and then so maybe I'll come up here one of these days when I can afford to live in this nice neighborhood that you live in. So I'm just excited you're here. So one thing, Tony, talking about is biking, but Tony's more than just a biker. He's one of those really, really special ones. He does everything. So Tony, tell us what you do, because what you do is like next level. This is my dream.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Next level. I look up to you, by the way. You know that.
Well, I'm a little bit taller, so it's okay. I get it.
By just a little smidge.
Little bit.
So yeah, I love triathlons. I've obviously cycled most of my life. I love cycling since I was a little kid, and I primarily do a lot of sailboat racing. And when I used to sail, I all the time had the bike with me, whether it's either meeting me somewhere or having it with me on the boat. And as soon as I finish, I just ride my bike. I love biking. So biking, it's in my blood since I was a little young child, 9, 10, 11 years old, and got into seriously biking when I was like more stabilized my size, where I can get a bike and be able to say myself like, oh, you're not going to change a bike every couple of years when you're growing up. And just caught up into biking. And a friend of mine about 16 years ago goes to me and said, hey, you're really a good biker. I think you can make a great triathlete. I'm like, huh? What does that mean? He's like, oh, come try it. It's like really cool. You gotta swim, and then you gotta bike, and then you gotta run. I'm like, well, I'm not a good runner. I never ran before. I never been a track runner or any of that, right? And that's, mind you, when I was like about maybe 42, 43. I'm about to turn 60. So that's about 16, 17 years ago, right? So I go and I try it. And I think I did really well that time. And I'm like, I like it. Like, you feel yourself like and you did well because like your bike, it's so good. But you are like dying on the swim, you're dying on the run, but then you're doing good on the bike. And then you think yourself you're good and you're like nowhere near good. You're like completely terrible. So I took over, I took up triathlon and I loved it. I like the sport for a reason because it allows you to change your mindset within the confine of being still in the world of a sport. So people think it's like, oh yeah, triathlete because they're crazy. They don't understand that one sport that's hard enough. Yeah, some of us are. They're hard-headed. They're like going out hard. They're just, and that's true. There's some competitiveness in it. I don't look at it that way. I look at it that it is an aspect that allows you to change and shift gears where you have to adapt to changes while you're still maintaining your physical ability to finish the segment.
Gotcha.
Or maybe improve the segment. I've all the time never measured myself next to a guy in my age group, my size, my height, my training type. I all the time measured my event to the prior event and my course to the prior course. I all the time look at it that way.
Right. So you also use yourself to be a motivation to yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I completely don't look at the surrounding at all. And people usually, I know they'll be looking at me as like, oh yeah, I'm going to beat him. I'm like, okay, by all means, go for it, because that's not my objective. I mean, number one, this is not what I do for a living. This is what I do for fun and to stay healthy and to have good people. Like how I met you and met other people.
Yeah, that's a good point about, keeping things fun, because I think sometimes we can just get consumed with just trying to push yourself to the next level, that we start losing, the fun of what we're doing. And at some point, most of us, if you're not a professional, it catches up on us and we're like, okay.
Believe it or not, even the professionals, they still have to keep some camaraderie and some funness.
Right. If you want to
otherwise, people will burn out. I mean, there's a reason why there's a lifespan of a professional athlete in any sport. Because there's a period you're going to burn out. You're going to burn out either because of age, or you're going to burn out because of doing too much of it, or you're going to get hurt, I've played professional sport when I was much, much younger, and I got hurt badly. And
what sport was that?
I played polo. I was a polo player on a horse for 4.5 years.
Look at that! I didn't know that. See, I'm still learning stuff. Every time I talk to you,
a lot of people around me, like my business partner, his family, and a few others do know. And I fell off the horse and ruptured my disc. That's why I have a disc surgery, and never got back on the horse. But
you got on a carbon horse though.
Huh? No, I got a carbon horse. Yeah,
multiple carbon horse.
Yeah, multiple carbon horses. Yeah.
So you picked up bike, you started biking. A friend of yours said, "Hey, you should try triathlons." I didn't know what triathlon was. Just like you, I thought a triathlon was a bicycle with 3 wheels initially, because I have no clue what these things are. Right? I mean, I'm from Jamaica. Triathlon, Ironman.
You're from Jamaica. I'm from the Middle East, so it makes it very relatable.
So I heard Ironman. I'm like, why are these guys doing races dressed as like Tony Stark? Like, that makes no sense to me. But as I, started learning more about the sport, I'm like, oh, you do a 3 sport.
Yeah.
So you pick up biking, and so how you got into like the whole swimming and running aspect of things? Because I mean, you're a pretty decent runner and swimmer. So how do you like prepare? Like, what was its starting point?
So I all the time swam, but not competitively. Like, just love swimming. Being a sailor, being around the water, you got to feel comfortable with swimming. Not floating, swimming. Like, you have to swim. In many cases, you will have to swim a distance, like a half a mile, half a kilometer or something, so you can. Plus, in my early years when I was young, also I served in the Navy, so you'll have to swim. So I was a decent swimmer. I like swimming. I love swimming, but I am not a competitive swimmer. I'm not a fast swimmer, but I like swimming. Believe it or not, in triathlon, out of the 3 segments, my favorite part is the swim, despite that I'm not a fast swimmer, because I love the water. But I try to improve. I get older. My shape in the water changed. It required so much practice.
I mean, it's probably so much planning, because I've swum a few times in triathlons as a relay team, and I got kicked in the face a couple of times, and then I was like, I don't know about this. so what was your experience with that?
Yeah, in Ironman, you definitely it gets physical, because you have so many people in the water at once. Well, maybe not at once these days, that they're
waves
sending them actually they figured out a new method just about a few years back. They send you, since COVID, they send you now 5 at a time every 3 seconds. So unless you have a huge group of people that they are swimming within the same pace or they are a little bit faster than each other's, then they pile up over each other's. But rest assured, an Ironman event or a half Ironman event, you are gonna get physical. And you gotta be comfortable with it. Like, you gotta feel okay with it. Like, I mean, you're a doctor, you're a scientist. It's all start with what?
Yeah, it's all in the mind.
Psychology. It's all in the mind.
Yeah.
So if you're going to get hit in the arms, in the face, in the body, kicked in the hip, somebody swim over you, you just have to kind of like relax, breathe. And if your head under the water, try to hold your breath.
But not for too long.
Not for too long. And just, you just got to manage it. And it's all psychology, quite frankly. And you just have to accept that it's going to be physical. I struggled in it in the beginning because I don't like people touching me in the water. So when someone used to kick me, I used to kick back. I swear to God. And then my coach is like, you can't do this. If somebody catch you, you'll have problems.
You'll get a penalty of some sort.
Yeah, and believe it or not, a couple times I've done it, and where somebody comes and is like, he's swimming, and then he hits you on the shoulder so bad. Like, it's like, oh, it hurt. So he's hitting you on the shoulder here, and by the time you're coming up, you're slowing down, he's coming, and I grab his ankle and I pull him back and I pull myself forward. It happened to me before. I've done it. It's terrible. I didn't want to admit it, but I did.
Not say that. We won't report him, okay?
You can report it, okay? But, stuff like this is going to happen. But obviously, I haven't, you get used to the sport, you get used to the environment, you get used to what you're dealing with. And, just you just go for what, deal with it for what it is. When you come out of the swim, it is my second most favorite thing, which is T1. T1, it's my favorite one. You're coming out of the water, your heart rate trying to race. And in every triathlon or Ironman or half Ironman you're doing, there's got to be at least 300, 400, 500 yards of run have to happen.
Right, yes.
Especially Chicago, it's almost like a quarter of a mile run. Like from where you come out of the swim all the way to transition, it's even third of a mile run. So that's a lot of running, And I love that part because I'm a type of guys like love to kind of like try to outsmart myself, so to speak. It's like, let me take the wetsuit right before I get out of the water, and then here you waste another minute. I'm like, because when you're in the water, it's easier, right, to slip right off. So you try all those kind of tricks. Some of them work, some of them doesn't. I'm lucky enough I have good coaches. They give me all the tricks. They help me. They guide me. And they've been great, especially the main coach that I've had for many, many, many years since I've started the sport. He's really good triathlete, won in mid-Kona many, many times. He's really a good coach. So I rely on a lot of experiences from around me that they can give me tips. The other big part is obviously not just what you perform and what you train. You have to pair that up with your nutritions on the bike, your nutrition on the run, your nutrition before the swim, and your normal diet. So people a lot of time they think if I train enough, I'm gonna be good. Like, you can train enough.
You touch on that. So what's like a training regimen like when you're gonna get prepared for like a half or a full, or do you have like similar training regimen for half or full, or do you have like differences between those?
There's a little bit differences, which is the volume. The volume, it's by far much more different for a full than a half Ironman. Both, they're still fairly similar structure. Like you have to hit certain numbers hours of week or numbers of yardage of swim, numbers of hours or mileage on the bike. Same story on the run. But then you have focused workout throughout each one of those segments. But people look at it and listen to this part about like, oh, you have to have a specific workout or you have to have a specific intensity versus tempo versus easy. But that's all doesn't matter if you don't know what's your baseline. So in the beginning, in the first 2-3 years when I raced, I was just training. I was overtrained and I did not know that until my coach is like, he puts his finger on my leg and goes like this. And I'm like, oh, it's like, well, tissue under pressure should not hurt. You're overtrained. You're not recovering.
I'm overtraining too.
Yeah. So he's like, you need to do this. You need to do that.
Oh, you're not overtraining.
I'm flimsy these days. So, you have to do like recovery boot. Like you see here, I have recovery boot. I have, electrosimulator systems, TENS unit. I have ice bath. I have everything, because you start learning that you're going to need to do as much as recovery and care for your reconditioning as much as you train. But then the biggest aspect of all that, it's your nutritions and your diet. And those two people don't think about. They think it's like, oh, I did 4-hour bike, then I can sit down and eat a pizza. Yeah, you can, but you are not going to be able to give your body the right nutrients.
Yeah, like that's something I heard a lot of people talk about. Every time it's like, as a cyclist or as a runner, like we just miss how important nutrition is and how important it is that resting is a part of training. I've heard it over and over and over again. Resting is a part of training.
When you get older, I learned, and especially my coaches goes to me, as you get older is as equally to rest as to train. Recovery, when you get older, it improves your endurance more, because by nature, we as a human, as we get older, and if you're an endurance athlete, your endurance is going to rise.
Right.
But when you take a 22 years old person and never been on a bike, and now you train him for like, let's say 3 or 4 months, and you want him to go ride 100 mile, he will do it, but then he's going to be done after that, because he have not built enough endurance. Notice most of triathlon champions, none of them are 21 or 22 or 23 years old. They're all late 20s, early 30s, some of them even mid and late 30s.
Right, this is the whole endurance you're talking about. For example, though, like now, I can beat my sons in arm wrestling because I'm older and stronger, but I know it's going to come a day where they can beat me in arm wrestling, but I'm like, you know what, now I'm going to destroy you guys. So, because I know what they get, and I can see the progression in their strength, as you're talking about, as you get your age, and you build up the repetition on your muscle, your body get used to it.
Yep.
Not only your body, but your mind. And for sure, I've seen that the most amazing triathletes are much older guys.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, I used to follow Greg Alexander. I mean, he was racing. I mean, even when he was in his 40s, I think he still does, like when he goes into a certain event. But I remember even he won a race, like he was either 38 or 39 or even 40. I forgot what it was. I mean, that's crazy. I mean,
he was just speaking, maybe.
Maybe he was just speaking. Correct. Maybe it was just
speaking. It happens.
Yeah. So nutrition's, diet, those go hands in hand. And then before any of that, if someone want to do a triathlon, before you go and buy an expensive bike and spend a boatload of money on the nicest sweatsuit and whatever, spend the money on coaching, because knowing your baseline, first establish your baseline. What is my baseline today as I'm untrained, fresh to the sport person? How much I can swim, how much I can bike, how much I can run, and what is my zone? Where is my zone 1 through 6 in each one of those disciplines, and what is my VO2 max, and what is my sweat ratio in each one of those disciplines? Those are your baseline characteristics that will allow you to say, okay, this is how much I'm losing salt, and under salt I have magnesium, potassium, any kind of minerals that you feel your body it's missing, because you are either coming out of the water and like, oh, my calf cramped because I couldn't. Mm-hmm. Maybe you undertook something or did compensate on something else. Establish your baseline, know what's your sweat ratio, know what's your VO2 max, and learn where is your zones in each one of those disciplines. Swim, bike, and run. And then have someone build a training program
around you.
Exactly. Training program to allow you to improve and expand those zones.
Yeah, because I see a lot of people make mistakes when they go to coaching and the coaches give everybody the same training plan. And I don't think that's right, because it's the same thing now in science and medicine now. It all boils down to individualized medicine, because we realize that we're all biologically, we're all different. So we need to do more tailored training, and that will actually, you will see better results amongst your athletes.
So you are a scientist, and you figured that out very right by using the same implied analogy. So I all the time say, you get 2 people, same age, same gender, same sex, same whatever, and both have cancer, both get the same treatment. Both react completely differently.
Correct.
So I look at it the same way. It could have me and another person, same age, same size, same training program, same BMI composition, body muscle index mass, and same blood type, even if you want, same age, same everything, same height, but we both train the same, you're going to see completely two different results.
Correct.
Because I could process liquid different than he does. I could not be able to eat on the bike, he can.
Yeah, and that boils down to the microenvironment, which you're still trying to break the code of what the microenvironment in our body is, because there's so much different things, like from your microbiome to all the things expressed. It's all these complex things. But again, it has to kind of more like a trial and error. And once you figure it out, then you can start doing things like this. So remind everybody, because Tony is he's one of those guys who do Ironman. So could you remind us what an Ironman is? Like, there's half and the full. What's the difference between both?
Yeah, I'll walk you through the whole segment. Actually, there's an Olympic International Ironman. That's the not Ironman, a triathlon. Sorry. So Olympic International Triathlon, that's the standard distance that it's sanctioned by USAT, United States Triathlon, and that's usually a 0.93 miles swim, 24.1 miles or 24.2 miles bike, and 6.12 miles run. That is a triathlon, Olympic international distance. That's what you see mostly in some Olympics. You see in many of the normal standard events. The Chicago Triathlon, the world largest in terms of amount of people, that's what it is. Nationals, that happens in Milwaukee, New Jersey, Omaha, Nebraska, and different parts of the country, that's what it is. That's Olympic International Triathlon. Then you go from there, you have a half Ironman. Half Ironman, you swim 1.2 miles, you bike 56.6 miles, and you run half marathon. And then you go from there to a full Ironman. In a full Ironman, you swim 2.4 miles, you bike 112 miles, and you run full marathon.
And for you guys know, this is all done in one day. There's no break. It's a one-day event. So
one day, and actually there's a limitation. On the full Ironman, it's only 17 hours.
Right, it's a cutoff, right?
Cutoff time. You don't finish in 17 hours.
And
I've been in events where we finished and we come back and we like cheering on the rest of the folks and people, and here it is, like, obviously usually the cook-off for any Ironman usually at 7 a.m. in the morning or 7:05 or whatever it is. And it goes on all the way until, 12 midnight. That's your 17 hours, 7 to 7 plus 4, right? And or 11 o'clock. So you go standing in the finish line, and here it is, 9, 10, 11 hours. I'm like, oh my God, 11, there's only 10, 15 minutes before. And there is people
still coming in.
Coming in, and they will be picking up the line and will be done.
Yep.
Now, the beauty about it, I have been in an event where some of the really pro athlete will still stay there and just welcome whomever crossing the line while the line is gone.
I mean, and this is
the sport. It is really
the camaraderie that you can bring, like, and stuff like this. Like, you finish, but you wait for people. I mean, that's just amazing. And this is why we compete, because again, sometimes it's not even for us. We do it for our moms and dads and aunts, and for different reasons. And as people come back and just help us cheer you as you cross the finish line. I mean, it's such an electrifying feeling. I've seen it, and I'm like, oh my God, look at this guy that's doing his first, Ironman, or there's this guy that maybe is like 75 or 80, and this is his first Ironman, and he made the cutoff time. Like 16 hours and 55 minutes.
My first Ironman, first one, I ruptured my patelliform band over my knee at mile 47 or 48 on the bike. I was pushing so hard, and the patelliform band just gave up on me. On the bike, not even halfway on the bike. And my speed dropped, and everything slowed down, and my whole world started getting dark and dark and dark. And it took me 15 hours and 53 minutes. So I finished before, about an hour and 10 minutes before and that first Ironman and I ran a marathon hobbling. I was hobbling.
I think I said before when I spoke to my wife Nicole, is like, you swim, you bike, and you walk the marathon. That is acceptable.
I was hobbling on the marathon.
Oh my God!
And I remember back then I had a couple of people cheering me on, and they were like holding a sign at the first 2 miles, see me barely running. It's like, hey, go Tony! And then here I'm coming around maybe mile 4 or something in some turns, and like, hey Tony, what's going on? And I'm like crumbling, and my knee.
Oh my God.
And that first one, I literally, just to remind me, I framed it and I put it behind me so I can remember.
So I'm looking at all these medals and finishers, Ironman, and always earn, never given.
Yeah.
Please, all right, let's. How many Ironman have you done so far? Like halves and fulls, and if you remember.
Halves, I don't know, a lot. Because it doesn't count. Fulls, I did 6 full Ironmans.
Whew,
Yeah, 6 full.
that's intense.
Yeah. My first one, I did Florida. Then I did Madison. I did Arizona. Did Louisville. Did Madison again. And I did Madison again.
What year was you did Madison? What year?
First time or last time?
Like what a different year time that you did.
Okay,
Maybe
so-
on the same course in my
So
wife was there.
14, I did Florida. 15, I did Madison. 16, I did Arizona, I think.
Okay, so it was
17, I did Louisville. 18, I did Madison. And 19, I did Madison.
So which out of all of those that you've done so far, which is your favorite?
Louisville.
And why? Louisville. Why?
Louisville,
Why?
my
Why
favorite.
Louisville.
My favorite. And it canceled the Ironman as a full for some reason. I don't know why. I love the rolling hills. We had a coach back then, his name Coach Keith, cool dude. He was coaching some of my other friends, took us all there, like 5, 6 of us. We drove different cars and he took us there. And he literally was our support vehicle riding the course few weeks before the Ironman. We drove from here to Louisville. We stayed there in a hotel and we all rode the course. And just, the course was it was very nice. The roads are good. Got rolling hills, nothing like extreme like in Madison, but it was still hilly. But and you feel them, but acceptable, like something you accept. And I felt like, oh my God, I can crush it in this Ironman, right? And then the run was absolutely magnificent because you're running right downtown Louisville, and there's all these areas that you go through. And the swim, it's the best out of everything. You're swimming in the river. And
Against the current or with the current?
with the current. So the
Oh.
first quarter mile, there's a little island they dump you, and you go up. So you're fighting a little bit, but because there's an island, you have a little bit of a protection.
Mhm.
You
You go around
turn,
it.
and the whole swim, it took me like an hour and 12 minutes. The whole thing going up the current quarter of a mile and then just cruising all the way down. I was like, wow, that felt good. So that was good. So I liked Louisville a lot. I love the swim. I love the bike and I love the run. But again, that's a perfect example about why I like the 3 disciplines, to allow you to recalibrate and be nimble and to be flexible. The day of the race, it was a beautiful day until a massive quick blow storm came through
I remember this.
on the bike.
I remember this.
And I remember I was like coming down and there's a bunch of bikers on this road, country road. And there's like, on one side, there is a cornfield. And you had to go up, it's like a stick. And then you do a first loop and a second loop and you come back. And that cornfield, it's part of the first loop. Like you were going to go through it twice. So first time, we're good. And the second time we saw it coming. And I'm like, oh boy, what is going to happen? And it was like a slight incline. So that's the area where you like take advantage, get on the bike, go fast. The entire cornfield leaves from the wind. It's blown on the road.
Oh no.
And it's raining, it's slip and sliding. And everybody got off their bike and walking their bike. Because you're sliding. It's like leaves everywhere. Like corn leaves, It's like it was just a mess.
I mean, these are the experiences that you live to talk about, right? Because I never thought this would happen in the Ironman, but
people say, "Hey, I'm trained, I'm good, my nutrition's right,
Then,
everything's right,"
just like that.
and then the day will be completely flipped upside down on you, and I'm like, "Okay, how are you going to adjust? How are you going to modify?"
Exactly.
It's all in your mind. So
Exactly.
I don't care how well anyone trained. You got to deal with the deck of cards that been dealt to you on the day of the race.
Yeah, and it's something that I learned because of my wife. I had to go do some reading about Ironman. So for all of us who love to ride in groups, when you do Ironman, there's no drafting. So you're all on your own, okay? And if you draft, you get caught. About 5 minutes, you get penalized by 5 minutes.
I've been penalized.
So
before.
no drafting. So if you pass somebody, you got to pass them and get it over with. And if you pass them, you can't pass them on the line and all these different things. There's all these different rules that you can't pass. So again, for all you guys who love to, love group rides, Ironman, it's all on you. Nobody else. So you got to put that work in if you want to do a good.
The only thing you can draft, it's in the water.
Right.
The only thing you can draft in the water.
And that's
some people say, hey, I can draft on the run. I don't know how much will help, but again, you have to be superbly a good runner, counting, like knowing your body and the guy you're running or the
Yes.
lady you're running with have to be like so much the same like you in the pace. I mean, I don't know, but
So I use runners not in my when I do races, not necessarily as a draft or in a draft in that sense, but as a way to motivate me. Like I set a person, I pick a target, and I'm like, you're gonna be my target, and
Yeah.
you'll not be on my
you start
side.
reeling him.
Exactly.
Reeling him
I'm
in.
just like slowly, stop.
Yeah.
And then I just wait, and then when it's like about half a mile to go, I'm like, okay, Omar, hit it.
Yeah.
And he just
Afterburners.
as we call it, we go balls to the wall. Right? That's what it's called.
Yeah, we call them afterburners.
Go for it and just hit it hard and just take us home. So it's good stuff. And the other thing, I learned also is that not because you go and, hey, I'm going to go swim 2.4 miles and bike 112 and run a full marathon, that does not make you Ironman, because Ironman is a brand, right? So it's a brand that's called Ironman. Because I know there's a lot of people, like I think the Iron Cowboy did those.
Iron Cowboy did like
50. But they had some problems because he was saying it was an Ironman, but he didn't do them on the Ironman sanction.
Correct.
So he was having some problem with that. So Ironman, you have to sign up for Ironman event.
Yeah.
And then once you sign up for the Ironman event, then you can get your tattoo, which I know I saw your tattoo earlier. Because if not, then it's not really official, right?
Well, I mean, you want to be in a sanctioned event for multiple reasons. I mean, and there's a reason why also, yes, it's a great brand, but they do put on a great event, in my opinion.
No, for sure.
They treat you like a king. They roll out the red carpet. They make it
you're a king, or you're a prince, right? You're a Prince Tony.
And that's you. You're Prince Omar. Look at the name. So they treat you really good, and they have like everything figured out to the T. Like the transition. I mean, I gotta tell you, I've never had a bad experience in an Ironman event ever. I don't know, ever. I've never showed up in an event like, oh man, this is not good. Oh,
I mean, they take your bike and put your bike out, and you have everything laid out. I mean, because of Nichols that I went to witness Ironman Wisconsin 2016, 17, and man, he dropped his bike off and everything was like laid out, and I was like, wow, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. And if you sign up to some of their services, not that I want to advertise for them, they can do a lot more services for you. Like they have something called like when I go do an event overseas, I did a couple overseas events. Like this last year, I did Ironman 70.3 in Valencia in Spain, and I signed up for called the Nirvana service. Nirvana. So they handle everything for you. As soon as you land in the airport, they pick you up in the airport. They take your bike because it's packed in a box.
Mm-hmm.
They put it together for you. They ask you for your retool measurement if you have one. So you email it to them. You email them which flight, what hotel you're in. They put your bike together, and they bring it right back to your hotel. So in case if you need to do some, training or some last minute, let me ride around. And then the day before the race, you rack your bike, and you go rack your running shoes in T2. But then once you're done, they will pick up all your stuff. They will have a van ready for you at the finish line. They will take all your stuff and bring you all back to the hotel.
So look, this is amazing. I mean, I didn't know these things even existed. So
and they pack your bike back.
When I do my first Ironman, I'm going all out. I'm going to be like, I just say, King Omar, Prince Omar. I'm going to go like, all out. Okay,
yeah, you should.
Nicole, I'm going to go all out. I'm sorry, I need everything. Like I'm going to walk in there like a big, like, hey, look at me, I'm the gorilla, because this is awesome. Yeah, bunch of Ironmans. You're an amazing cyclist in Chicago. We see you out there all the time. You again. Trust me, you're inspired many of us.
Oh, you're
like
so
we ride,
Thank you.
we pick you up, we ride, we push you. I remember the first time we met you through some of our common buddies, and I was like, my God, look at this guy. And he's riding a Pinarella. I'm like, this guy's riding a Pinarella, man. I want one. But it's just like to see my friends doing all these amazing bikes. And I remember again this whole idea. We went and took a photo over there by the Fort Sheridan. I'll never forget it. It was a few of us, and I was like, man, this. And here we are. This is like what 4 years later. And
no, still way more, my friend.
Really?
It was before COVID.
Oh my God!
It's 2018 or 2019. At least 6 years.
Wow!
I was still living in the city.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Time flies.
I've been living here 4 years.
When we have fun, time really flies.
Time flies. Yeah.
So Ironman always. Okay, what do you do outside of Ironman? Like what keeps you going outside of Ironman and all the activities you do outside? What keeps you going? What do you do?
You mean like what I do personally?
Personally, or yes, share a little bit with us so we can get to know you.
I'm in the financial industry. I love what I do. I'm more of like I do portfolio designs and kind of like I'm more of the economist of the firm and the chief global equity strategist. So I love anything that's economically or monetary policy driven. I read a lot about that. You've been in my office a few times.
The view is like amazing.
You see how many books I have and all the stuff that I read and research on a daily basis. But I love what I do. I love economics. I love the world of finance. I feel it's like it's such an important in the world of human. It's kind of like the artery system in your body that moves the blood and moves the supplies and move everything. So it's fascinating to learn about, when there's clog up in the system, when there's oversaturation in the system, when there is a under supplies, when there is so all these things that fascinate me. So that's what I do, obviously, for a living.
And do you ever give like seminars and stuff? And if you do, where can we find you if you give a seminar?
Yeah, I don't give
stuff.
no, I don't give seminars. No, you're so funny. I don't give seminars, and I don't advertise. We have our own firm, and obviously we're sanctioned and not sanctioned, registered and by the regulators. So we have to be very careful about that. So we go only through specific appropriate channels and way to do about that. I do go to some universities. I sit on panels, economical panels, and participate in many more of an, I wouldn't call it an opinion giving, but like when you have either a master degree programs in economic or finance or PhD in specific segments, they sometimes ask outside business people in related industry to come and sit and answer questions or give perspective, but not giving an opinion. Like they may ask a questions like, hey, what do you think in inflation? What do you think this? So you're not really telling them what is going to happen about today and right now and then, because we're kind of obviously have to be very cognizant of the regulatory system that doesn't allow us to obviously say our opinions, because
Gotcha.
there's regulations basically. But I do sit and participate in about a handful of universities in the country in that area. My other things that I really enjoy doing a lot that I don't must sometimes say, it's really sailing. I still sailboat race a lot.
You also drive too, no?
And I also drive. I race cars. I have a decent car racing group that I hang out with, and I have a couple of race cars myself, like quite a few actually. So yeah, I love anything have to do. So racing is not about speed; it's about how methodically you can carry your speed on the corner.
Sorry, guys, I had to sneeze.
Bless
there's
you.
spirits in there, and they're good spirits.
Bless your heart, man. But yeah, I mean, it's not all about speed and acceleration, whether on the bike or whether on the run or whether in the car or whether even in a sailboat. But it is about how can you. So a lot of people can go fast on the straightaway. Tell me how fast you can go in the corner. It's all about how you're approaching the corner and how early or late you're braking or taking the apex. So
and I guarantee you use a lot of those things that you learn from racing the cars into when you do Ironmans and stuff. I guarantee you probably use a lot of those things.
You do have a lot of similarities, especially on the bike. I mean, think about it when we're on the bike, when you come and you take a corner, you don't hit the brakes. You hit the brakes, you're going to slide, right? But you're going to try to say, okay, how much out I need to go, how much I need to lean and keep my weight low, and how am I going to transfer my weight to the lowest point of the bike in order for me to make the apex. And it's pretty much similar in the car. Bless
guys, sorry again. I don't know if there's something in the air. I'm sorry. But we won't edit. This is real. This is like real talk, okay? This is conversation. We're hanging out.
So yeah, you're right. There's a lot of similarity in it. And I love climbing. I climb peaks and mountains quite a bit around. So I've been in the Kumbu region, in the Everest region many times, and I enjoy it. I like mountaineering. Like mountains is kind of like between mountains and water and bike. Those three are my sanctuaries. Like
yeah, I would have grew up. I would have been like Tony, man. You do all these cool things. You race cars, you race bikes, you climb mountains, you jump over fishes, all kind of cool stuff. No, I mean you sail. But when you sail, you over fishes, right? So I'm correct.
Dolphins, all of them. Yeah, they show up.
And I mean, your racing boat stories, man, those are pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. So are you still racing boats?
Yeah. I have. This year, I'm not gonna. I did last year. This year's my schedule is just really oversaturated. In fact, my group asked me to commit for this year for another Transpac race, which is the world's longest port-to-port race. It's from Los Angeles to Hawaii. I did that 2 years ago, if you remember.
Yes, and I was actually talking to you. I think when you're on the boat, I called her.
Yeah, I was on the settle on the what I call Starlink.
Yep.
Yeah, and it took us 11 days, and we took fourth in our division. It was great. I mean, it's a major race. It's like a race you have to qualify for. So it's not like a little thing. So it happens every other year. It's a biannual. So it's happening this year. And my great buddy Steve asked me, he's like, "Hey, are you going to race with us?" And I looked at my schedule, and it's not gonna work. So this is the first year I'm not going to race.
So no racing boats. But what about any plans for the new year, 2025? Anything big coming up? You want to do any big races this year? Anything planned?
My big plan is to try to ride bikes more with you.
Let's do it. And my wife is invited, and all of her friends are invited.
That is honestly really my big.
No, seriously.
Last year I did not spend, or the year before, enough time. I know I've ridden, quite more with Kendall sometime, but then you and Kendall and Patrick put that beautiful ride up in Madison with that group. That was amazing. That was pretty cool. I got lost. And
that was fun. But I'm happy that you came up, because that was, and actually afterwards we get to see you and hang out at the end of the ride, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I want to do more of that.
Yeah, we rode up to the border together with Cortado.
Cortado one time. Awesome. Right? I met you guys actually right up by
my house, and we went up together, and that was a fun day, man.
That was a fun day.
Yeah.
Until when you guys dropped me right in Lake Bluff. We're like, okay, here's a 70-miler. We have no more time for you. We're going.
We're gonna get. Well, I had to get back because I was in the clock because of my wife. So there's I'm like a plus or minus hour and a half limits, and I don't want to push it too much because you have to pick your battles.
When you tell me you're on the clock and you're doing 110 miles, I would not call that on the clock. She gives you a lot of leash.
Yeah, I start early, so I
gives you a lot of leash.
By the time I get home, they're still moving. They're gonna be like, "Oh, it's time to go to bed." So it's not too bad. And the good thing is, my wife, she's a cyclist, right? So she can understand. She can understand like when we kind of make up time. That she know that if I say 1 hour, it means like 3 hours.
That's right.
So, and if I say I'm going for a 40-mile bike ride, she mean maybe like 80, something 80. Like that. It's like
double that number.
Because you're out there, you're just out there, you're zoning out. You're like, man, this is beautiful, and you just talk with your friends and have a good time. And
then when you stop for coffee for 10 minutes, would be 20, 25.
25, exactly. And this is one of the thing I love about biking in Chicago, and why I think it's so great here, because we bike, we drink coffee, we have a good time, we talk, we relate, we go to the same barbecues, we hang out, and we come to our friends, and this is why Chicago, I think, is one of the reasons why Chicago is such an amazing place to bike in.
It is.
I love it. So again, guys, I'm here with Tony. You did say your full name?
Tony Diar Bakerli.
Prince?
You're the princess and you're the prince.
He's my Habibi. He's my Habibi.
You're Habibi.
So Tony, thank you so much for taking some time and chatting.
It's my pleasure. The honor is all mine.
That's all the people have been supporting us so far. It's been great. And guys, we have guys like Tony in the network. And again, we all make up this thing. We all make it work. And this is why Chicago Hub is an amazing place to be in. So if you come here, just reach out to us. We're here. And as I will say again, Tony, thanks again. And
pleasure.
Keep the miles and smiles going until we meet again.